Hey everyone, I'm Pete and welcome to Retro Game Attic. Today I want to talk about a lesser known Nintendo franchise, Kururin. I first discovered the series upon getting a Kururin trophy in Super Smash Bros. Melee on the Nintendo GameCube. I was a junior in high school back then when Melee was released, and my friends and I were absolutely obsessed with it. Of course I was enamored with the game itself, but the trophies really grabbed my attention, especially the alluring ones marked as Japan only. I immediately booted up my family's compact Presario, dialed into AOL, took a sip of Surge, and began my extensive research into the subject. This Kururin vehicle was apparently from a game called Kururin, the first game in a new series from Nintendo, only released in Japan and PAL territories. It also turns out that the vehicle was incorrectly referred to as the Kururin in Melee, and is actually called the Kururin. Man, I was so mad that we weren't getting this game, my clear braces almost exploded straight off my teeth. Kururin was released for the Game Boy Advance on March 21st, 2001 in Japan, and June 22nd, 2001 in Europe and Australia. Developed by Aiding and published by Nintendo, Aiding, formerly known as Rising, is a Japanese developer comprised of former Compile employees, and really did not focus too much on North American audiences. In this puzzle game, you take control of the Kururin, a constantly spinning helicopter that you must navigate through a series of mazes while avoiding walls and other obstacles. The game is themed around the idea of going around and around, which is also referred to in Japanese as the onomatopoeia Kuru. Being an early 2000s portable puzzle game, there isn't a ton of story, but the Kururin is piloted by the series' titular character, Kururin. I mean, just look at this little guy. He's a cute bird character equipped with what appears to be a scarf and goggles. No pants, naturally. Kururin is tasked by his mother with rescuing his siblings, all are cute, that have gone missing and scattered throughout 10 different worlds. Teacher Hare, an equally adorable bunny character, is a mechanic and friend of Kururin that also built the Kururin. He trains Kururin on piloting the Kururin to save the day. There is such a cuteness overload, but I'm here for it. The Kururin appears to be a centrally cockpitted vehicle with one large, constantly spinning propeller. You are able to control both the direction and 3 levels of speed of the helicopter as you traverse through 35 levels, with the challenge being to avoid touching walls with the propeller. Levels are presented in a top-down fashion, so you can easily decipher the location of the propeller at any given moment. You are given 3 hearts that act as 3 hit points. Hit the wall 3 times and the Kururin explodes. To add some replayability, there are record times to beat, various bonuses, and a gold star awarded for avoiding damage to the Kururin. I've not tried it myself, but the game actually boasts 4-player multiplayer support with just 1 game cartridge required, which is pretty cool. You are eased into how the game works with some training levels at the beginning, with the game becoming progressively more difficult as levels become longer and more precision flying is required. The difficulty of the stages can be set through the adjustment of the propeller size from small, medium, and large via the select button. A challenge mode of a selection of smaller levels is also offered. The levels are presented via a linear level select map, with the game's visuals being both colorful and detailed enough for an early Game Boy Advance game. You probably aren't going to be blown away by the graphics, but what's here is nice. The sound is also done well, with some clear sounding effects and some nice level tunes that fit each level well. The game boasts tight controls without a hint of floatiness, which really does make a difference later on in the game as levels become more difficult and more precision is required. Aside from the colorful presentation, cheerful music, and cutesy characters, the real appeal here is the puzzle nature of the game. The constantly rotating propeller of the Kururin is what really separates Kururin from a typical puzzle game. It's such a simple mechanic, but it's integrated so well here. As you locate your lost siblings throughout certain levels, you are treated to a visual of them congregating around a heart-shaped shrub. As you do, the game itself is not very long and can be beaten in several hours. It's a shame that this game did not have an initial US release, given that it was localized for PAL territories, but given Nintendo's reluctance towards introducing new IPs back then, it's not really surprising. Plus, by 2001, we were still in the extreme attitude era, and maybe this game was just too cutesy for our feeble American minds. I mean, look at the difference between the Japan and the PAL covers. If it was released here, I'm sure Kururin would need at least 70% more attitude. Kururin was followed up 1 year later by Kururin Paradise in 2002, which was a Japan exclusive. This news caused 2002 me to remove my puka shell necklace and unbleach my hair in protest. Kururin Paradise was actually showcased at E3 2002 and announced for the North American market, but alas, it was just too good to be true. This game improves upon the original in literally every aspect, and the cuteness is dialed up to 11. You again take flight in the Hellerin and navigate through 34 main stages in order to save your siblings from a new antagonist, a magician called Baron Magic. It turns out that Kururin's family attended a Baron Magic show, with the exception of Kururin, who slept through it. Following the show, all of Kururin's siblings went missing, so it is up to Kururin to save them. The level select again is presented in a linear fashion, but there are now keys scattered throughout certain levels for you to find to unlock previously restricted areas and access secret levels with even more siblings. The level design itself improves upon the original by adding more obstacles, branching paths, and enemies that you must avoid. For example, in a level in Ghouliland, if a ghost latches onto the Hellerin, your speed will decrease, but your propeller speed will remain the same, which makes traversing the level much more difficult. It's small little touches like that that really do add a welcome variety to the gameplay. The tight controls and gameplay mechanics remain the same as the original game, which is a good thing. The main difference I noticed in the controls is that you are now able to control the speed of the Hellerin propeller by using the Game Boy Advance's shoulder buttons. Paradise's visuals are also more detailed and vibrant with some cool effects and animations. You are also treated to nicely done cutscenes now as well. I'm kinda bummed I can't read Japanese, but it's cool, the visuals can more than make up for it. You are treated to a boss battle at the end of each section, which comprises of a minigame. The bosses include Baron Magic and several other members of his Great Magic group. There are 15 boss battles in total, and the minigames range from the expected fare such as bouncing around an area collecting stars before the time limit, all the way to nods to Nintendo's past, such as a cool balloon fight tribute and air hockey. For additional replay value, 30 additional challenge levels are included, which become pretty difficult as you progress through them. All in all, Kururin Paradise is a sequel that is done right, and improves over the original in every way. If you had to choose between playing the original or the sequel is a no-brainer. This game was an absolute delight to play, and it's such a shame that it didn't get a North American release. There is one more Japan-exclusive game in the Kururin series on the GameCube called Kururin Squash, but I'll save that for another video. I just wanted to concentrate on the establishment of the series on the GBA. I've spent a good portion of this video complaining that the Kururin series doesn't get much love outside of Japan, but to my surprise I discovered that the original game was actually released on the Wii U Virtual Console in North America on February 11th, 2016, so I guess the incubation time for acceptable cuteness here is about 15 years, give or take. I mean, I'm a fan of this franchise, and I didn't even know that it was released in North America until researching this video. Outside of the Virtual Console release, you really don't hear much about the Kururin series here in the US. I think it would be wise of Nintendo to release a new entry in the series that harkens back to the simple yet addictive gameplay of the original GBA titles. They could hand off development duties to a small yet proven studio to develop a new budget title on the Nintendo Switch eShop. I don't feel it would do crazy numbers or anything, but there is a dedicated fan base and enough curious Nintendo fans that would be interested in it. Please don't sleep on the Kururin GBA titles. Given that the Wii U eShop is dead, you're going to have to resort to picking up the original Game Boy Advance cartridges. Luckily, they're cheap to import, and as you know, the GBA is region free, so you can play them on your respective units. Go for it and you won't be disappointed. Thank you all so much for watching, and please let me know if you want me to talk about any other obscure or forgotten franchises. Oh, and be sure to pitch in and pick up your trash. Have an awesome day.